I genuinely like to believe that there will never be a third world war. It may be naive of me to believe this, but following what happened on September 11th, 2001, well, it seemed almost certain a world war was imminent, and it didn't happen. There was a war, but it didn't seem the entire world wanted any part of it. In fact, it seems countries all over the world have realized the amount of loss, destruction, and time it takes to rebuild following a catastrophic world war. So why engage in the first place? With all that being said, since the Second World War has ended, there have been countless wars all over the world involving multiple countries. And many of these could have led to world wars, but didn't. With all that being said, as tensions between China and the United States continue to rise, some are once again fearing an attack and retaliation, leading to a third world war. Today in LBQ, we're asking, what if China wins World War III? Smash that like button and let's get into this one. Now, first and foremost, I think the most important factor to look at prior to talking about how the world would change post a China World War win is looking at the teams. Who's fighting who? Is it Russia and China against the Middle East? Given that the previous two world wars included military superpowers, including America, the UK, Germany, China, Russia, and so on, we always assume these countries would be involved in any world war. But what if they weren't? What even constitutes a world war? Because as far as I'm concerned, a lot of countries weren't a part of either of the previous two. Switzerland has famously gone neutral during both world wars, and a handful of South American countries didn't take part in World War I, while a handful of European countries remained neutral throughout World War II. The point I'm making is that if China were to be involved in a world war and won, that doesn't necessarily mean America or other European countries would be directly involved. So let's take a look at teams here. Odds are China would find a way to team up with Russia, as it appears the two countries' leaders are quite fond of each other. Given that they would have a common enemy in the United States, it would also make sense that they would appear to see eye to eye. Another country which would likely want to join the pair would be North Korea. However, as we've seen, North Korea appears to like to do things on their own, almost as if they really got something to prove to the world. Whether they'd be willing to ally with another country and whether or not China and Russia would be willing to ally with North Korea is a totally different story. Given that Japan and South Korea have close ties to the United States, it seems all three countries would need to get involved to protect the two nations much closer to the danger in Japan and South Korea. See, inevitably it seems the United States does get involved because they are allies, but that doesn't necessarily mean they go all in. It's possible, much like prior to officially entering the Second World War, the United States tries to support their allies from afar without actually deploying troops and going to war with any country. Of course, the reason for the war in the first place would be of utmost importance when looking at this question. If, for example, China decided to attack a neighboring country in hopes of expanding their presence geographically, Russia could see that as a potential threat. This would of course change the entire course of how things play out, meaning we'd have to disregard everything I just said previously with the whole Russia-China alliance. So intention here is also incredibly important. Now, if we go under the impression that China simply wants to prove they're the world's superpower with the strongest military and best economy, you know, a game of look how big my Johnson is, then it's possible they attack the United States or decide to go after a small country. Either way, assuming that China is able to win a third world war, what happens next? Well, as we saw with World War II in Europe, the loss of a war doesn't necessarily mean you lose your country forever. So if China were to attack even Russia, and when all is said and done, Russia were to surrender, that doesn't necessarily mean the country of Russia would no longer exist. As we saw at the end of the Second World War, albeit 10 years later, Germany was at one point occupied by both the Soviets and Allies before the Allies gave up their military occupation and gave the country back. So again, intention is important. If China is trying to expand geographically, well then, if they were to win, I don't think they'd be giving any land back to anyone. If it was more so just to show how strong they are military-wise, well, that would be a very different story. Regardless if the United States were to be involved in a third world war or not, I think following a win for China, a fourth world war would happen sooner than later. Assuming America does enter the Third World War and they lose along with whoever else is on their team, say the UK, Germany, Canada, whoever else, let's just say they lose, surrender, white flag, and ask for a ceasefire. Now, depending on the terms of the ceasefire, it may just be a stalling tactic to lose the battle but win the war. I mean, I guess they would lose the war but then start another one and win that one. Here's what I mean. America is clearly not afraid to push the boundaries and show the world they're willing to do what it takes to remain a powerful nation. If, for whatever reason, they were to lose a third world war to China, I could very well see them regrouping and attacking the country, declaring a fourth world war, this time using nuclear force. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but so does the idea of China winning World War III. Is my American showing right now? Oh boy. On a more serious note, everyone claims to have nukes nowadays. The US, Russia, China, North Korea, the Middle East, it seems at any given moment, any of these countries can wipe another country off the face of the earth if they really do have the weapons they claim to have. And just to clarify, the Middle East, I meant like all of the countries there. I know the Middle East isn't a country. And with all that in mind, well, as we saw before, America is always willing to defend their people regardless of what it takes. Meaning if they needed to surrender and lose World War III to reduce the loss of immediate life while they work on nuclear weapons with every intention of starting a fourth world war, well, I'd believe it. I know America surrendering sounds crazy, but they wouldn't want a country to get bold and nuke them. So instead, I could see them taking a temporary L, almost fooling the world that they've folded, only to come back 10 times stronger and to show the world that you can never count America out. Of course, this would go against so many international laws and violate things that have been implemented so innocent lives don't need to be lost during wars. But unfortunately, when it comes to true war, there are no rules. Thankfully, this will never happen. Love and peace always prevails, right guys? Alright, for now, let's do some comment replies from the video. Why is China preparing for World War III? Cami Tenchi said, strange, I literally just watched a video about China threatening to launch a missile on Australia, and then I saw this video. It's all like, as far as I'm concerned, it's all threats, it's all talks until something happens. It's just, like I said, it's a game of, mine's bigger than yours. Everyone wants to show who has the stronger nukes, the bigger missiles. I don't think anyone actually wants to go to war. It's too costly. Like, I know they say war makes money, but at first it costs a lot of money. Tony Yemen said, because it's necessary to prepare for World War III. I disagree. Like Einstein said, World War III is going to be fought with sticks and stones. Second one person goes, the nukes are flying, we're all done, so I don't think it's happening. Kirby Madness said, the time for peace is over. I literally just ended this video being like, peace and love. Like, Kirby? Come on, man. What's the deal? Alright guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host, Pepper. As I said before, peace and love, guys. We don't need to go to war. Just stay spicy. I'll see you guys soon.